You've got the wrong tool in your hand. And I'm gonna show you two tricks here. This is kind of like a chocolate Twinkie for Canucks. This will kill you, but it's damn delicious. Renovator 1, bathroom nothing. And if you're like a lot of people around the world, this is a real common situation. I can remove the rest of these walls in less than 10 minutes. No rework on the ceiling. Whew. There's another whole day you're not gonna waste. We're batting 1,000. So far we've saved the ceiling. If we pull this off, we managed to keep this cost of this job down to $3,000 instead of upwards of 6 or 7. That would be awesome. I think we're gonna increase value in this kitchen. This is not acceptable. And that is money in the bank. This is where it gets fun. Fire in the hole! It's not the time to be putting out the big dollars. Thank you, hero. There's another tool you won't need to buy. Perfect, every time. So today we are doing a bathroom renovation. And if you're like a lot of people around the world, this is a real common situation. 16-inch steel tub, small tile surround, and it's most likely not in the greatest of shape. Now this one, however, looks pretty great, but it's time for a facelift, and we're gonna go through the process of turning this into a very modern bath that the grandkids can have for like a pool. So the first step of any renovation, of course, is demolition. And that's a fancy word for take out the old stuff. So what we've got going on here today is, let's just talk real quick about some safety equipment. I got these awesome gloves of the color of my football team. It works. You're also, if you're a homeowner, you're going to want to get maybe some eye protection. Working with this tile, when you're working with it, you know, you get a shard or you're going to get cut edges. You want to make sure you're being smart about it. Another good thing would be to get a mask. A lot of the reasons we're ripping these bathrooms out is because we got mold in behind the walls. This is an N95 mask. It's for particulates. This is especially good for dust and mold spores and that sort of thing. So you buy 3 of these for 10 bucks and they'll last for the entire length of the renovation. Make sure you make that investment. And if you don't own a fancy pair of gloves, I grabbed these from the store today. These are 5 bucks. This is a leather palm, leather backing on it. Great investment if you're DIYer, one size fits all. So I would suggest those as well. Now, before we get into this, let's talk about the process. Demolition, of course, is just the removal of what was installed in the reverse order. And if you follow that advice, everything will go well. But before we get started, rule number 1, turn off the water. I know that you have control, you can turn off the valve and all these wonderful things, but you never really know what's behind a wall. So to protect your home and your investment, just turn off the water and open the taps at the top of the house and open the taps at the bottom of the house, drain out all the lines and get rid of the pressure. There we go. We just hear the air rushing, so we're cleaning out the lines. Now we know when we renovate, we're not going to be able to cut a line and have a pipe burst on us. So if we're ripping out the bathroom, you need a few basic tools here. One is a tub remover tool. You can find this at your hardware store, plumbing department, about 10 bucks. Screwdriver to turn it, a couple of different bits. Usually the Phillips head and the flat head is about all you're going to run into. Got your drill, and you're going to need your Allen keys. Now, most of these tubs here, they have a set screw in the bottom. You can't see it, it's in an awkward spot, but you need to know it's there so you don't drive yourself crazy trying to unthread this or rip it off the wall. Until that set screw is released, you can't remove this. So why don't we just start there? So we go to this side, and usually one twist is enough to release this darn thing. Yep. Of course, we have the shower valve. Usually these handles have a decorative cap on it, and you can just use a screwdriver to pop that off. But it has a set screw as well. Now that that's out of the way, there's usually a couple of screws on the plate. These older model systems always have surface screws. The newer ones, there's a wall plate that gets mounted and it snaps in, but that makes that simple. So now your wall can be removed without interrupting your plumbing, okay? We want to remove the overflow in the waste now. Usually just 1 or 2 screws here. The idea here is the plumbing behind the tub is going to stay in place when you remove the tub. So you have to disengage the trims here so that that can happen. So here's my fancy tub remover tool, and it has got 2 different functions on this depending on the size of the tub. The short end goes right in there nice and snug over the crossbars, And the way I do this is I lay a screwdriver across the top, push down, and turn counterclockwise. This tub strainer basket is so recessed, my tub remover tool is of use. Zero, useless, not gonna help. All right, now I gotta have to show you another trick. So that is amazing. That's the first time ever my tub remover tool didn't work for me. I'm not sure what's going on with this, but you know, not everything is created equal, right? So here we go. And I'm gonna show you two tricks here. One of them is you just put in the Allen keys, okay? And then you create this cross, again, and you can force like that. And you can unthread it that way. If you have a tub strainer here that the crosses have eroded away or rusted away, here's another thing you can do. Realize that this is a chrome plated material. It's usually a soft metal like a brass. You can take an old chisel, put it on the edge of that, and kind of go square on just to create a dent. And then you can lay it a little flatter, and you can just tap it around. Makes a lot of noise, but it is effective. I'm not sure how to remove a tub if you don't get this out. And voila. Renovator 1, bathroom nothing. All right, so all shower heads are created equal. They usually have a little shower arm, and there's a compression fitting on this as well. So if you just give it a little bit of a turn and a pull, you can get this out of the way. All right. Now, there's got a couple of options here. You can just grab right in here with your pliers and just turn it. And you're probably gonna just take the shower head off. Okay. And then you can try giving this a turn. It can be a little bit frustrating because the guy that put this in originally usually used a lot of force. Okay, so get a good grip on it. And then once you get that started, you can just kind of finish it off by hand. Of course, if you're stuck and the wrench isn't working for you, you can combine this with another trick that I know. You get the wrench on there nice and tight, throw a screwdriver in the pipe. Gives you extra leverage. And you can pull both of those at the same time. There's no way that that went on strong enough that that won't work. So once we've got our fixtures removed, the next thing is to get rid of all the silicone joints that are around here. All right, so now it's time to remove the walls. And if you've grabbed your sledgehammer or one of these beautiful Stanley bars, you've got the wrong tool in your hand. Like I said before, this is more surgery. So we have to be smart, because what we want to do is want to reinstall the new tub surround in the same space without creating a mountain of work repairing walls. So the technique that you want to use here is really simple. Grab an old flat chisel and a hammer, and you want to remove this tile one at a time so we have control over the wall, and hopefully we don't damage the wallboard so badly. You can see tile chips, so make sure you wear your glasses. Working like this allows us to cut this wallboard right beside the old painted line, and then we can create a tile line from the same spot on the wall so we don't have to repair all the drywall and repaint. Now, if you've never done this kind of work before, you need to understand that when ceramic tile breaks like that, it's not the clay that's dangerous, it's the glaze. This glaze is razor sharp, so make sure you're wearing your gloves. Now I can create a cut line, and I can cut right down the drywall, then we're ready to remove the walls. Okay, so here's the deal. If you're a home renovator and you're working on your own house, and you don't want to be dressed up like a clown with a diaper on your face, you realize you're taking some risk, okay? So for me, I'm not a big fan of wearing the mask. Let's get rid of that. And I'll tell you why. I find wearing the mask makes it really hard to breathe. And to be honest with you, I guess I'm a little old school. I kind of believe like whatever you do for a living is going to kill you. So, you can try to Take all the safety precautions you like to avoid injury, that's one thing, but I'm not gonna worry about a little bit of dust now and again. If I'm working in a real dusty environment, I set up negative air, and I'll wear a mask on occasion. I'm gonna cut 8 feet of drywall now with a reciprocator. It's gonna make a little dirt, and if you're afraid of dirt, then don't renovate. The other way to do this is with a knife. If you don't have one of those fancy tools, you can always use a knife. You'll eventually work right through to the back of the drywall. I'm going to show you my technique for removing the tub surround walls. Now use your hammer and just shake it. It'll jiggle all of the drywall screws that are in this board loose from the backside. All right. Generally, comes out in one piece. You can just walk that right out to your garbage bin. So a lot of homeowners I know have the same kind of problem. What to do with the garbage? They don't want to pile it up in their garage. They can't put it on the curb for the city to pick up. So here we go. We're going to show you a little secret. And I got to do this quick before my bag blows away. All right. If you've never seen this before, this is dumpster in a bag. You can buy this at the local building stores. It's a brilliant little invention. Comes with these 2 straps. All you gotta do is lay it out near your curb, and when you're done, you call the 1-800 number that's on the side of the bag, pay with your Visa over the phone. These guys will come by, grab an arm, scoop it up, take it away for you. The whole thing full, I can put an entire bathroom in there. Tub, toilet, walls, floors, the whole thing, including the vanity in the top. It's about $250 for removal. Brilliant deal. If you want to get a roll-off bin, you risk damaging your driveway, takes a lot more space, and usually start at $500 or $600. So this is perfect project size. So a quick trick here before you start pulling off all the walls to help reduce your scope of work when you're done. Remember the ceiling here, there's going to be a drywall joint. The tape will go from here up and then across. And if you're not careful to cut through the paper before you rip off this wall, you'll peel it off the ceiling. Then you're going to have to repair the drywall and repaint the ceiling again. So we try our best to avoid that from happening. We'll run our knife across here a few times, almost like we're trying to cut it right through the drywall, because lots of people use a lot of mud in the corners. You want to make sure you got that paper cut. Little tugs, little vibrations, till all these screws are popped loose, with downward force, so that we don't damage our ceiling. There we go. So here's the edge of our ceiling now. That is perfect. There's absolutely 0 damage here. It's exactly what we're looking for. When we go back with our new wallboard and tile, our new tile is going to be thicker than this old stuff. This is what we like to call biscuit. It's really thin. The newer one's thicker, so it'll actually have a thicker profile, and that is going to put us in a position where we're going to finish clean on that ceiling. No rework on the ceiling. Whew. There's another whole day you're not going to waste. I get a lot of people asking me questions about this sort of situation here, this black and the insulation. And they ask these questions in the comment section below. And what you want to know is this is not mold, right? This is air movement. And when air is moving through a building cavity, it's going to pick up whatever dirt is around and it's going to deposit it wherever there's resistance. So this is just air movement, probably because it just wasn't sealed up tight enough on the back side of this wall. It's nothing to be concerned about. It doesn't affect the insulation quality. It just looks ugly. So if it bothers you, you can replace it, but you don't need to. That's a really deep wall. It's a mechanical wall. Probably gonna have heat runs as well. So here you wanna be careful. Watch your swing. You don't wanna go out too hard and punch right through here because you might hit something important and wreck it. You want to pull it down from the ceiling, away from your cut line. Well, I mean, it's obvious that there's a lot more to do in a demolition than just taking out a sledgehammer and beating the hell out of it. I know they love to show that on TV, but let's stop and think here for a second. What if we beat the tar out of the wall and we hit the stack, right? You punch a hole in this bad boy. Now you're bringing in the plumber and you're replacing the stack right into the attic. That's attic work as well. What if you swung the hammer here and you punctured the joint in this copper line? If you didn't notice that you did that, you'd put your bathroom back together again, turn the water back on, you'd flood out the entire house. So when you're tearing things apart, if you don't know what's on the other side or inside that wall, which you don't, you have to use some patience and a little bit of skill. I know it's great TV, but using a sledgehammer inside a bathroom is really not what that tool was made for. There we go. We're batting 1,000. So far we've saved the ceiling. Remember, when you're doing a demolition and you're doing an isolated project, like we're only doing the tub and the tub surround, it's our job to now stop and think, how do I keep the scope of work from getting out of control, okay? So one of the things I don't want to do is I don't want to have to start getting into finished carpentry, because that's a brand new set of tools, that's a brand new day of work. Oh my goodness. So what we have is an outside corner bead holding this wall in place. So I'm going to grab my hacksaw and I'm going to cut my corner bead. Okay, you're going to set it and go on a 45-degree angle, and you'll cut both sides. Now when I rip apart my corner bead on my wall, I'm going to leave all the trim alone. There's another whole set of tools and a whole setup. I mean, can you imagine having to set up all your tools to make 2 cuts? What a pain in the butt. Okay, so now this bathroom here is basically a great big square, and they've put the tub in here and added this wall to bring the controls into. This style of construction means that you are going to be doing some mud work and you're going to have to do some paint, but it's only on a tiny little wall, okay? So when you're taking this apart, don't even try to save the corner. Don't try to peel it open and put it back later. You're going to crack the paint line. You're going to make a mess. Just get it out of the way. And you can be as surgical as you want to. Find each nail, pull them out. Done. Remember to always close the blade before you put it in your pocket. Yeah, I learned that one the hard way. So the majority of our demo is complete. So before we pull out the tub, we're going to just take a minute, take all the nails and screws out of the wall, clean up any extra debris that needs to be removed, and then we're going to take everything off the floor, sweep, clean out the tub, vacuum. We're going to start with a clean slate again before I start messing with the tub. Because the secret here is that the floor in this bathroom we want to keep, okay? So we're actually reinstalling it with the same floor still attached. So we want to take a little extra care here and make sure that as we go, we're not causing any damage that's not necessary. Again, keep your scope of work reduced, and then this kind of project is very predictable. So the next step in our demolition is we have to remove the tub. But before we can move the tub, we have to cut our plumbing out. And here's why. We're in an alcove situation, and this tub won't pull straight out into the room because the frame is exactly the same size as the tub. But on that side of the wall, there's drywall. So I have 1/2 inch too small to be able to slide the tub out. So what I have to do is I have to lift it, roll it, and then slide it in between the studs of the wall in order to take it out. And the reason I want to do it that way is because then I'm not affecting and increasing the scope of work by causing new drywall work and new painting going on. It takes a few extra minutes, but if you take the time to cut the plumbing out of the way, then and pull all the nails, you have all the room that you're going to need to be able to roll the tub out, and we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Okay, so now we've cut and capped all of our plumbing. It's completely out of the way now, so we can remove our tub, and you can see the entire process for how to do all this plumbing on our next Copper to PEX video. All right, so far we've managed to remove all of the shower fixtures, all of the walls, all of the tile, and we haven't damaged anything outside of our scope of work, which is new tub and new tile surround. So the last thing we got to do before we pull the tub, make sure we cut out the silicone joint down here. And I mean, sacrifice your blade. If we pull this off, we managed to keep this cost of this job down to $3,000 instead of upwards of $6,000 or $7,000. That would be awesome. What I want to do is I want to just first of all start by rolling it forward and then kicking it in so that I break the seal and get this tub away from the tile. And the secret to how this works is you got to give it just a bit of a twist and then get this edge of the tub in between the studs into the insulation cavity so you can slide it over a little bit. You don't need a whole lot of extra room to wiggle one of these out. Just a little bit. There we go. Now at this point, because this is a steel tub, I would recommend grabbing a neighbor. Get some extra help carrying this down the stairs. I know there's a lot of people out there, we could probably lift this up and walk out, no problem. But remember, the goal here is to reduce the scope of work. And putting a hole in a wall on the way down the staircase is not going to help you out with that. Throw it in. Just a note, if you do your demolition the day before garbage day and you want to recycle your tub, the easiest way to do it is leave it on your curb for garbage day morning. There's always somebody driving around the neighborhood with a truck picking up metal things to take for recycling. Now, you know, honestly, the construction techniques here have been spot on. Whoever built this house, you know, had a good crew going on. Look at, we got shims that were pre-leveled, nailed down with galvanized nails. That's brilliant. So they were obviously working this properly. They got the right ledger board back here to carry the weight. Of course, the drywall guys left all of their paper edging underneath the tub for good measure. Oh, we have a find. Here we go. Joe Louis. This is original stuff. This is way back, dude. This must be from when they first started making these things. Now, if you're from the States or over in Europe, you don't get Joe Louis. This is Canadian dessert. This is kind of like a chocolate Twinkie for Canucks. This will kill you, but it's damn delicious. We also got just enough insulation poking out from behind the tub so that when the inspector came, before they closed the walls up, they could say, yes, the tub was insulated, but it was not. This is all there was. This is why steel tubs are so damn cold. If you insulate the cavity around the tub, they will stay nice and warm. But if you don't, you have a 15-minute tub until you're freezing again. And this would have been the case in this house. All right, so that's good. You know, this is going to get taped to this black plastic afterwards. We're going to change this out. This has got to go. That actually never even got cut. All right, we'll put back some brand new Super 6. Here we go. You can see here, this is the way they used to fix this. This stud would have been a bowed. So what they did is they cut right through it, and then they straightened it out and then tacked on a piece of scrap wood on each side to level it all off. And that is going to be something you'll see over and over and over again. All right, other than that, really pleased. The plumbing's excellent. The venting work is excellent. Spot on. There's no breaks in the stack. Everything is wrapped and sealed. Wow, fantastic. Boy, we're getting spoiled rotten on this job. We got a typical situation. We got a lot of debris here, but I just wanted to point out, once again, here's the stack. Our plumbing line comes out on a 45, comes across to pick up this vent, and then there's a P-trap to here, and then we have this plumbing. And this looks like it could be reused. But here's the issue. Our new tub has got a different body mold to it. So our center line is going to be in a different location. All right, we don't have a 4-inch ledge on the front with a little edge on the back. So we're actually going to be moving over here a little bit, and the back side has got to go up to 20 inches, not 16. So although this looks like this might be able to be saved and reused, the fact is it'll be a lot easier for us to just start from scratch and put everything exactly where we want it. So we're going to leave this in place for now because there is a P-trap full of water. But tomorrow, when we start to redo the plumbing, we'll cut open the floor a little bit and cut this pipe off, and we're going to establish a brand new plumbing system here for the drain. I know it's a bit of a fight. You know, you'd like to be able to save something if you can, but in the long run, you're going to cause yourself a lot of problem. And this kind of stuff should not be attached to your tub under pressure. Don't try to ever force it in there. That's a sure way to make it leak. So if you're like most people, you're in a home that's got a bathroom that needs to be renovated, and you've got it all ripped apart, and you run into this, copper plumbing. Now, you may not be the best plumber in the world, but if you can learn how to make one simple solder joint, you can convert from copper to using PEX, and then you can just use a crimper to install all your plumbing through the rest of the shower. Look at this. And it starts cutting right through. There we go, we just broke through. You could always just heat up this joint and pop both of these at the same time. This is a fancy little stiletto tool. It's like a little mini hammer, but it does so many wonderful little things for those hard to reach places. Now, in this situation, we're not gonna try to save any of this plumbing, so you can be as aggressive as you like because we have drained the water. There we are. Now, important, don't throw this away. You're most likely gonna wanna save this copper to add for your tub spout. And that is a good piece of copper, so no sense throwing it in the garbage. What I'm gonna show you here is how to clean this, how to torch it, and then how to convert to PEX, or just put a brass cap on. Now this is sand cloth, and it's funny because the last time we did a copper to PEX video, I used sand cloth. I called it sand cloth. It says sand cloth on the box, and people were giving me different opinions about why I was calling it sand cloth in the video in the comments section below. The goal here is to get it nice and clean. You can't torch on dirt. So here we are. Here is the fitting that we're going to use to convert from copper to PEX. Now, basically, this comes already clean. Comes from the factory. It's brass. Doesn't really tarnish. But what I like to do is scratch it up. You heat up the joint where you want the solder to go to, which is up here, and you add the solder from the bottom. All right. So what you want to do is create a nice, clean, scratched up environment so the solder has somewhere to sit. And you're basically sealing it for the whole width of the joint. All right, so you end up sealing it about 50 times more than is necessary, and that is the goal. And now you know when it's going in, there we go, pushed in and it dripped out. I know that whole thing is full of solder now. I'm adding the heat to the top left, I'm adding solder for the bottom right. The heat goes up, so when it gets hot enough to melt solder in the bottom right, I know it's been sucked because I added the flux, and there we go, it's been sucked all the way to the top. And that's it. That soldering job is done. So I just ran into the car and got my PEX cutting tool. So I'm out of breath. It's too cold to be standing around in a t-shirt. And that's it. So we're gonna just stick this on the line and then crimp it all up, okay? Okay, so you want your ring about 1/4 inch off the end of the pipe, snug to the brass fitting. Boom. It is a lot quicker and a lot more flexible than doing soldering. So in a lot of cases when we're working in a job site and we're changing the tub or tub surround, the idea here is to try to minimize the scope of work. Unfortunately, in this situation, the client wanted to go from a standard 30-inch wide to a 32-inch wide. And so that creates a lot of little nuances that we're going to cover in this tub installation video. Because if you can install a larger tub into an existing smaller space, you can install any tub on the planet, okay? So let's get started. I just wanted to point out first, before we get moving, about the quality of the tub that we're using. This is a Maryland tub. It's called the Tucson. The 32-inch is called the Tucson. This has got an acrylic tub, but it's a sprayed fiberglass reinforced acrylic, okay? This is extremely strong, and it's a little bit more advanced than some of the products that are available on the shelf of the building store. So keep an eye out for this because the price point is really minimal. For an extra $30 or $40, you can get a high quality acrylic tub instead of something that's gonna have a lot of deflection and risk cracking over time. Okay, so you'll notice that this is a little piece of chipboard plywood, reinforced, all sprayed and glued together. But this is the skirt, and this is that translates a lot of the load on the front side of the tub. And when this is all sprayed together with the fiberglass, it makes it incredibly strong. You'll also notice on the back side, there are a series of wooden block feet here, and that directly translates the weight of the tub when it's full of water to the subfloor underneath so that you don't risk getting any cracks around the drain. Without those feet, this ends up opening up and splitting a lot of times. And this crack here is not a crack that you can fix with the repair guy. Okay, they might come and fix it for you, but it will crack again. So the only way to avoid that is to buy a tub that has these reinforced feet. Don't rely on the skirt to take care of all the weight. You need to give support to the bottom of the tub. Welcome back. It's day 2 on our bathroom tub and tub surround project. Before we went home yesterday, we lifted the tub into position. To make sure that we could, because now that we have a 20-inch height, we wanted to make sure we had enough wiggle room to get this into position. And we did, so that's fantastic. And B, we wanted to just make sure that we had all of our understanding as to what needed to happen today so we could do all our shopping before we got here. So when we put the tub in, we realize that our drain position is going to move. This is a 32-inch tub. The last one was a 30. So our center hole is moved over. And we just wanted to mark off because we're going to be cutting the floor tile so we can drop this right into place. There's a little bit of framing we want to do. We want to build out here, give ourselves some kind of backing in case we install a shower rod. And other than that, we just have to put in some blocking for our new plumbing fixtures. And then we're just going to lift the tub out, put all this together, and then we're going to close that finished tile by the end of the day. Wow, that's a lot to do, so let's get going. So there's really 3 things that we need to do when we're putting a larger tub into an existing smaller hole. One is we have to open up the subfloor to reconnect the drain. 2, we have to eliminate all this plumbing and start all over again. And the third thing is we have to cut back the tile and the underlayment so the tub can fit inside of that area. You don't need to clean ABS fittings with sandcloth, but I can't see what's going on in behind there. So I'm just making sure that I've got any of the old solvent out of the way. Generously apply the solvent to both pieces. Push and twist, get that on there nice and tight. So now we just gotta prep up our brass drain kit. This is all compression fits with some positions there's gaskets, some of it's just thread like here. So when it's just thread, I use a pipe joint compound. Put that back in where it came from. Again, we're just still doing the rough fit here. We haven't connected or tightened up any of the fittings. Because we were using this type of drain system, we were actually able to tie into the original ABS that was coming out. We've locked on the collar, adjusted all of our pipes, created our center point here of 17 and 9, and we created our center point here just according to the dimensions on the tub. Well, the only thing left to do now is just cut back the tile. I've got a beautiful porcelain tile bit on here. I picked this up in my tile supply store. It cost me 35 bucks. You can get something comparable in the hardware store for about 60. And we're just gonna run the vacuum and cut this out. Make sure you protect yourself. You're gonna have flying stone going everywhere. Hit it. That's good. There, I like that. So we have got our extra framing in the wall. We've got our drain done. We've got our floor cut back so that we're ready to drop the tub in. So now that we have our tub in place and we're solid, we want to connect all of the plumbing before we connect the tub to the walls. What we got is, you got to take care of one thing here, and that is this protective plastic. And now I'm only mentioning this because everybody who's ever got into building things and putting in plumbing for the first time, until you've had a leak and you found out it's because this plastic was in the way, you don't know that you need to remove it. So I'm going to save you that problem. Get the plastic out of the way. You don't want to have any of that protective plastic where you're putting your fixtures. So you want to get your white silicone that's designed for kitchens and baths, and you want to get it on your thread here of acrylic tub. It's not conducive with the old-fashioned plumber putty. And apparently there's some concern that the putty will break down the acrylic over time. Here we go. Once we have it snug, we'll throw a screwdriver across the top and give an extra half a turn. Now we got that one done. I always put my drain cap in right away, make sure it's covered up. Now, here's my overflow, and I'm just going to reach in behind and put my gasket back in place now. This one actually has a threaded cap that goes over top. And so this one here gives you the ability, just go backwards until you feel it sit in, and then you go forward. That way you won't cross thread. And you're just going to find that middle point. The finish on this actually has this really cool little thing It's a little different look from OS and B. And it has a slotted groove that goes over top of the edge of that. Now, how sleek is that? Not seeing any screws. So once you've done, drop in some shims all the way around the tub. And that is where you will put your screws to attach the tub to the wall. Here we go. These are actually ACQ. These are deck screws, but they'll do the same thing. And you'll see when it gets started, and it'll drill its own hole. Don't go too crazy with this because you will crack it. And that's all you need. This is the typical shower tub system. It has hot and cold shutoffs, as well as it has integrated PEX adapters so that you can run PEX directly to this. So the easiest way to hook up your plumbing is to use a laser level. Get your laser level on the center line. Done. Gotta own a laser level if you're renovating at home. Sit it in the cradle, and this is you want to cut while you turn. That's how you cut it straight without collapsing the pipe. And the tools will be a lot cheaper than hiring a plumber. Plumbers today are using exactly the same system. That seems like an awful lot of money to play with Lego. Okay, so in the building world today, we've got a lot of different materials available for building and waterproofing a shower. I believe in one of our previous videos, we showed you how to use just regular drywall and use the Curdy membrane, that orange mat, and cement that on the walls and create your seal for waterproofing. But in this video today, we're going to show you a little different system because Curdy makes its own wall panel. And this is 1/2 inch thick. It's a polystyrene. It's got the waterproof membrane on it, and it just reduces everything down into one step. You screw it until there's a depression. I can just cut the whole board without any straight lines. Breaks a lot like drywall. I like how easy that is to install. Put your clip right on the joint and compress the joint together. We're going to mix up our non-modified cement, and we're going to do a Curdy tape joint along these joints here, and we're going to cover all of our screws with little squares, and then that's the entire waterproofing system. And this is of course a special material that'll bond to just about anything, and you can just run a nice thick bead along the bottom. Alright, for closing up our shower, we're going to be using a 4x12 glossy ceramic tile. This is a brilliant product because it has lots of flexibility, great style, and easy to install as long as you can get your first row level. That is why it's very important to have your laser level handy. I can't preach enough about this. It's a tool that every homeowner should have in their toolbox. So the beginning of a tile job is always the same. It's called mapping it out. You need to think about how you're installing your tile. Now, our basic direction here is to start with a 50% offset. So it's a typical subway pattern, just a offset from the stack in the middle. So the process here is simple. We just take a couple of tiles. We start with a grout line on the center line, and we work towards the outside. So what I'm doing is I'm checking to see how level my wall is all together. And I'm going to be good there. So if I use that as my starting row, right there, and then I cut a bunch of tiles in half, I can start building the entire back wall from this corner off that line. And that is brilliant. So now that our tiles are cut and ready to build the first row, before we get started, we want to get our plastic edges on. This will determine what the actual outside measurement is going to be. I've got a 1/8 spacer. I like subway tile with a little bit of gap and a little bit of grout. I just look, it's a lot more classic. And then these are wedges. All right. And these wedges are designed to help get this perfectly level and also create a little bit of a gap between the tile and the acrylic tub. One of the reasons why I think subway tile is a perfect do-it-yourself job is because the tile is small enough, and because it's made of ceramic, it's very easy to cut. And you can use just a score tool, which puts a scratch and then pressure, and it always snaps right on the line. Matt just did this one, and that's a really nice cut. That is really clean. All right, and you can do that. That tool's available at the building store for about $30. That's awesome. You can always get a wet saw as well, but for this tile, I would use the score tool almost exclusively, and then for around this area, just get a ceramic bit for your 4-inch grinder, and you can just use that wheel and cut any decorative hole you need. And that's about the only tools you'll ever need for this. So we just lift the tile, drop in our spacers. Always put your cuts on the inside, of course. So I'm going to demonstrate how to cut glass mosaic. We're just going to start on the edge here. And the same as the other tile, we'll start right on the base. Okay, so the only other thing you need to know is this. When you're done your tile work, the next day you come back, take all your spacers out, all right? Take a wet sponge and force it in all the lines and clean them all out. The cements that we're using here, within 48 hours, you can wipe them out pretty simply. And it'll actually clean up real nice without any tools or risk of damaging your tile. We'll be here for a couple more hours to finish off the rest of our tile work. Tomorrow we're going to grout, and the next time we meet you, we'll be taking care of the finishing trims and polishing in silicone. Here we are on the last day of the project video. We are going to be on this project for 4 days altogether, which is pretty, it's conservative. What we've got here going on is everything is grouted. We just got a little bit of polishing to do. We have to install all of our finishing fixtures, and of course we have to seal it all up with our silicone. And that's more of an aesthetic thing. It's not part of the waterproofing system here, but we want to have a nice clean joint so that it's really easy to maintain down the road. And then after that, it's just a matter of getting all our garbage out of here and cleaning up after ourselves. So I came in yesterday and I did the grouting work. And generally speaking, when you grout, you want to put the application on and then you want to wipe it off and you want to leave it alone. You don't want to overwash. And this is where a lot of people make a mistake. They wash and they wash and wash until the stone is clean. And what they're doing is they're removing all of the grout color and they're adding a lot of air and moisture into the grout. So when it dries, it shrinks, it cracks, it bubbles, and you don't want to do that. So then you're left with this. You've got a haze on all your tile. So before you can move forward and silicone and walk away and think you're done, and we'll clean up the dust later, remember this. If you put silicone over top of the joint right now, you're actually applying the silicone to the dust, not the tile. And you're only going to get about a 50% seal. And that's going to look really horrible because dirt and water is going to get in behind there. And even if it's a 20-year silicone like we're going to be using today, it's going to turn black on you in just a few weeks because the dirt is just going to gravitate to that spot and you'll be real disappointed with your performance. So all you got to do, go to the store, get these shop cloths. These blue cloths are awesome. They pick up the dust really well and you don't have to scrub. You just got to wipe, okay? And you'll see a lot of this dust just washes right off here like that. And you can use this along the edges, all right? And just buff and polish. And if anything doesn't look just perfect, okay, then you can go back later after you've done your silicone the day after, and you can always inspect again and do little minor touch-ups. But because you're trying to move the job along, leave all of your imperfection repairs till the very end so everything's been dried and cured, and then you'll be really happy with the way it turns out. Okay, so before we start doing this, let me just talk about the parts real quick. The Renovision Pro system comes with a surface-mounted plate, and this gets screwed to the roughing valve that's in the wall, and it has a gasket on the back that seals to the tile. Now, depending on the tile condition, you may or may not want to use a silicone bead after you're done. A lot of times this sort of thing doesn't work if you're using a subway tile because there are inconsistencies with the surface texture and the grout lines. If it's a really large piece of stone and you're cut right down the middle, then this is plenty enough to seal it shut. So we slide it over our valve trim, and we want to do this first before we add all the other pieces because we need the extra light going in there to find the holes. So all you do is slide this stuff in, and there you go. Once you feel it sink into those two pins, you're good. All right. We want to tighten up our screws. And you snap it in place. So here we are. I was so focused on making a video, I forgot the most important part. Just about to turn the water on, and my brain went, wait, you haven't put the... Yeah, look at this. If I don't put this on first, the whole valve assembly is going to come firing across the room, wreck my silicone work, wreck my day. There we go. Quarter turn is plenty. Hot and cold, on, off. That's simple. All right, we have our faceplate, our handle, and our little set screw cover all in place, so we can leave that for now. Let's move on. Now this has got a little bit of water in it. I drained the line so it shouldn't be under pressure. There we go. And you just force that one on, okay? You want to just make sure that the name is up and everything looks square. Reach underneath with the Allen key. There we go. This is the Rebel Pro 2-jet shower head. They have a 3-jet shower head and rain shower head options. And it's just manual control right here, right? You gotta love it. Oh, that is some good looking shower head. You want to take your Teflon tape and you just roll it around. And because I'm paranoid, I like to go a little overboard. I also like to take a little bit of this thread sealer paste and run it up onto the female fitting inside the wall. There we go. Okay, now here's the secret. Go backwards a little bit until you feel it sit in there. Okay. Perfect. That's exactly nice and tight like I like it. However, it's pointing up at the ceiling, so we have to fix that. I like to get a little extra leverage on this. Instead of holding it here, I like to hold it out here. So I'll put a screwdriver right in through the whole turn and use my hand on the pipe. Okay, now the shower head, it has little flat pieces on the neck here. That's for a wrench. It's amazing how many people will call and complain that there's a little drip of water coming out of here and going right into their tub. Oh my. But it happens. Now inside here there's a gasket, okay? So that should work just compression finger tight. Now, and the way you make sure that this is done is you grab your wrench, set it on the flat pieces, okay? And you give it a couple of turns. Make sure you're only grabbing the flat pieces of that shower fixture. All right, so now we got all of our fixtures installed. It's time to clean up, do all of our silicone, and then we can actually test all of this system. Water's automatically going to the tub. Perfect. Okay, we're out of water there, that's good. So we're pretty much at the last stage of our project in this. We've done the tub, the shower, the tile, the fixtures. We're all done, so now it is time to do the silicone. This is the last step that we have to do to finish inside the tub surround. So I'm just going to start right here, and I'm going to just run a nice little bead there. Okay, I'm going to put my dry finger on it, and as soon as I feel like I'm getting a lot of buildup, I'll pull it off. The other place I need clear silicone is on my fixtures to my tile wall. So I want to make sure that the water that's running down this wall can't get in behind my wall. So we also want to do the same thing to our tub spout. And this is the most common penetration point, is around the fixtures. You just run it along, move the caulking gun just a little bit ahead of the caulking. And now you always wipe back towards where you were. So here's our chip. The story is this: we did a great job doing a demolition, and then the client ordered a tub that was bigger than the hole, so then we had to use our grinder to cut back the tile line, and that went perfectly. And then Maddie, my son, was cleaning up the subfloor, and of course his hammer hit the edge of the tile and caused the chip. Now both of these are oil-based, so I have gray tile. I grabbed the gray stain. Come over here. Voila. Now it's not perfect, but it is a lot better than that chip that was there 2 minutes ago. So most people, they have a damaged piece of wallboard, whether it's a renovation like we were doing here behind us, where we have a bit of a seam issue. This is my secret in the trades for whenever I've got to do a touch-up and I'm ready to head out of a project and I see something I don't like, I can take 5 minutes and fix that before I walk out the door, and it doesn't need any work after I'm done. And here's the trick. You got to own a hawk on a 4-inch knife. So what you want to do is you want to grab some sheetrock 45, all right? And you just want to make a little bit of a volcano here, okay? It should start to become more of a paste, okay? And then you can just break it up and you mix it in, right here on the hawk, okay? No mixing tools, no pails, no muss, no fuss, right here on your hawk. And you just check right there like that. Yeah, I'm loving it. And so this is my finished coat. Goal is to fill every little scratch, every bump. This is mud that's just been pressed on. It's got the wrinkles, it needs to be feathered out, okay? And you just give it a wipe. There you go. Let it dry. You're ready to paint. I know, it's that simple. Because even after you get it wet, because it has a hardener, it'll dry in just a couple minutes. So if you want to get a job done in the same day, you can take a whole room, do all your patching, and then you don't have any priming to do. Or if you've already finished your project and you bump a wall with your ladder on the way out, you can do your 45-minute mud, put it on there real quick, give it a few minutes, even take a hairdryer to help dry it off, damp sponge, okay? Come back with some paint, get a little mini roller, and you can touch up your paint job and walk out the door within the hour. And that is money in the bank. Here we are at the end of our project. The only thing left for us to do now is drain the tub. But I'm not going to be here to do that because that gets done tomorrow morning. And although the room isn't finished, my job is. We actually got contacted by this client because they saw our video about changing the tub and the tub surround. And it's been a couple of years since we'd done it, so we wanted to do another one, show a couple of different looks and a couple of different ideas. And so we're not going to hand the project back over to the homeowner now, and they're going to come in and do some paint or caulking, and they're going to change the colors in here, and they're going to finish this bathroom off. So we're signing off. I hope you've learned a lot and enjoyed the ride. It's been a busy few days. Remember, if we can do this project in 4 days while shooting all of these videos, I'm sure that you can do it in 4 days and not be shooting any videos. So, just a thought. You can have a brand new bathroom, new tub surround, new shower, 4 days of work. Not a bad deal. If you like this episode of Reality Renovision, make sure you check the link at the end of the video. It goes to the playlist with a lot of other episodes. We've got a lot of really cool different projects there. Century homes, kitchens, bathrooms, basements. So we're looking forward to seeing your comments on those videos as well. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Reality Renovision. If you're new to our channel, then I suggest you subscribe to the channel over here. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications so you'll be told every time a new video comes up. And if you'd like, you can click the link right here and you can binge watch all the episodes that we have on our playlist. Amazing information, everything DIY and decor and renovation and remodeling. Thanks for joining us.